that time, I was in, I think, my 7th year of teaching. I was at a continuation high school in a ghetto, and which was a whole different experience for me. I grew up a typical American white male in the 1950s, and it was just a whole different world that opened up. I think that's where I learned to teach, was communicating with people, because I had kids with, they'd read at the 2nd or 3rd grade level, and they were 18, and other kids that were very bright but had been kicked out of a high school or were coming back from California Youth Authority, trying to get back in the mainstream. And you had to deal with all of that in one classroom, which was one of the secrets of good teaching, I think, was a smaller classroom where you can deal with people individually. By the time I retired, I was dealing with classes of 100, 125, and you don't get to know people the same way you did in the small schools. I don't know how to go back to that given the cost of things these days. But I taught high school during the day, and then Long Beach City College, where I had been a student and president of the student body when I was a student there. Taught there at night, and then I got a job at Orange Coast College, and for a large section. And they actually offered me a job, but it was teaching world history. And I told them, I said, I can teach US history or California history or anthropology, but not world history. I'm not qualified. At which point, Saddleback was advertising for a position down here in US history. So I came down and interviewed, and I was amazed. They hired me. And then when I got the job, they said, well, we have a very small faculty, and we're going to be in temporary buildings, trailers actually, and you'll have to teach more than US history. Can you teach California history? I said, oh yeah, that's really my major. How about anthropology? And I said, yeah, that's my minor. Can you teach physical anthropology? I said, yeah. How about sociology? I said, whoa. I had a sociology class, but it was several years ago. I ended up teaching 5 different major topics the first year, and I had reintroduced myself to my wife on weekends because I was busy writing and reading to get on with these things the whole week. But we got through it, and it was fascinating. We started in temporary, actually our faculty was about 30 people, and literally the entire staff of the college could and did meet in a double-car garage. And everybody in one place there. And we got to know each other very well. We had good parties, which helped us get to know each other. They put us in temporary buildings here on the lower campus. This was our final resting place. They moved us around a little bit before that. The buildings were, I'm not sure if they're double or triple wide trailers, but they were set up off the ground, and we would get frogs under the building that at night would croak when you're trying to do a night class. And then we had what I call critters, various sorts of mammals that would run across in the ceiling, and including rats. And the fellow in the room next to me finally got a large broom, and he would bang on them when they'd go across the ceiling. They ran across plastic panels, and the lights were above the panels, but you'd see the shadow of a little animal going across. So he'd reach up and bang that thing. And he did that one night, and I'm teaching in the next room, and all of a sudden there's this incredible odor coming down. It was a skunk that was there. So we had to evacuate two classrooms and finish the lecture a week later. We had, for budget purposes, we had one porta potty when we were starting out. So it was very democratic. We all lined up to use the thing, faculty and students and groundsmen, all on this area roughly where we are right now, in this building. And driving on campus today, I'm looking at all the trees are mature. Here's this huge campus. We had literally about 8 trailers in the middle of what had been a sheep ranch. And the first year or so, the Basque sheep herder did bring sheep onto campus. We had no cafeteria. We had a food truck that pulled onto the campus, and we all went up and bought food from that. And it has changed amazingly, just amazing. Let's see, 1969 to 1989. No, 98, excuse me. 98, yeah.
So 31?
Mm-hmm. A long time, but good years.
Yes.
You know.
Always in the same capacity?
No, I got rid of the extra classes that and settled into U.S. history and physical anthropology, those two. And then as years went by, we hired a very good staff. And as they came along, I let them have the really good class in U.S. history where you have a paper and that sort of thing. And I took the History 22, which is the large section. It didn't transfer, I don't know if it does now, but it did not transfer to the university level. So I assumed that these are people who, this may be their last educational experience. Let's make it as interesting as possible, but not as difficult as a regular U.S. history class would be. Well, I had an anthropology class, and I mentioned monkeys and apes are different creatures. Physically, humans are much closer genetically to apes than they are to monkeys. Monkeys have tails, apes don't. And I didn't realize one of my students worked in an animal rental agency. They rented animals to TV productions and movies and things. Without me knowing it, she brought in a spider monkey, they're about that big, with a long tail. And spider monkeys have a tail that's called prehensile, means they can grasp and hold onto a tree limb or something, hang by it actually. And she showed that. She put her fingers out and the monkey held up that. And then she had a baby chimp, it was about a year old, and very cute, it loved the attention. So the students not only got to see a monkey as being different from an ape, they got to touch them and the animals responded. And I was in seventh heaven. I never got a word in for a whole hour, you know, the students interacting with the animals and this animal trainer. About 4 or 5 days later, I got a call from the administration, and they were panicked because their lawyers had informed them we're not supposed to have live animals in the classroom that they could bite or whatever. And I explained these were very young and very harmless, and they liked people. No, can't do that. So the following year, when it came that time to tell the difference, I went to a costume rental place and rented a gorilla costume and came in dressed as a gorilla costume. And one of the faculty members didn't know who was in the gorilla costume, stopped me in the hallway. I said, "Who are you?" And I pulled out my Saddleback College card that showed I was a faculty member. "Holston?" And I said, "Yes, thank you." The students loved it. I had a lot of really good students, and it's such a pleasure to think that I may have made an impact on some of them. Mark Cook was, he was unsure as to what he wanted to do in life, and I spent a lot of time talking on office hours with Mark, not necessarily about the class, but about his family and what he wanted to do in life. He went on, finished university, finished medical school, is in the medical profession now. Kevin Fagan drew cartoons, funny ones, for the school newspaper. And I told him, I said, "You have real talent, you should do this for a living." And he was very nervous about that. And I said, no, seriously, send this stuff. And I looked it up, King Features, I sent it to King Features. So he sent samples of his work to King Features, and they rejected it. And he was all despondent. And I said, well, I think your stuff is super. Send it to Charles Schulz, who draws the Peanuts cartoon. And he did. Student actually took my advice for once. He sent it to Charles Schulz. Schulz was really excited. He was franchised with King Features. He contacted King Features and got Kevin a job. And Kevin's cartoon, Drabble, is still in major newspapers all over the United States, which pleases me. Yeah, he does take little digs at me from time to time. My wife and I both taught, but we also had two food service businesses, frozen yogurt over in Laguna Niguel. And he, in the Drabble cartoon, he'll have his characters going into a yogurt shop from time to time and getting yogurt. Sitting outside today and waiting for my turn here, Charlie Myers came up. And of course he looks different now for all these years. He was a student of mine back in 1982, and he said, when I took your class, my father had told me I either go to college or go in the military. And that rung a bell with me because my dad told me, you're a worthless beach bum, because I surfed all the time when came out of high school. He said, you either go in the military or you go to college. And I went to college and made a difference. And he said, I took your U.S. history class and I liked it, so I took your anthropology class and I took your California history class. And I'm trying to remember because I had, I think, about 18,000 students because of the large classes here. And he said, I got A's in all your classes, and I went to USC, and I graduated and got my graduate degree, and now I'm a professor here at Saddleback. And I said, what? You know, and it actually brought tears to my eyes. You know, you wonder whether you make a difference sometimes. And to find you did, that really is rewarding, very rewarding. When the state informed the county that they had to have another community college district in the south end of the county, they opened up an election for the board. And I can't remember how many people were running, but somewhere around 24, let's say. We didn't realize it until after the election was over. A very conservative group in Tustin organized a person from each of the sections of the South Orange County and ran as a team. And because they supported each other and had mailers and that sort of thing, they won. So we had a board of 5 people, and I think 2 of them were members of the John Birch Society, and the others were extremely conservative. They were very concerned about what was happening in universities and colleges across America, where people actually were burning buildings and things, and they might have this super liberal faculty in Southern Orange County. We were concerned. What kind of restrictions were they going to put on us? Do we have to be members of their party or whatever? After they got to know us, after a year or so, they relaxed and realized that we weren't dangerous, that the students weren't going to riot on campus, that they were really a good group of students. And a couple of years went by. We were comfortable with them, although they were quite conservative. I was on a committee to see if we could get a raise, because we hadn't had a raise for 2 or 3 years. We went in expecting the worst, hat in hand, ready to beg. And one of the board members, Hans Vogel from Tustin, said, well, I have this philosophy that we should pay teachers very well and expect the best from them, get our money's worth. And we don't necessarily have to pay the administrators as much as we pay the teachers. So we're going to propose something here. And he laid out this proposal, which would have made us the highest paid community college teachers in California. We were speechless. Even my good friend Jim Thorpe was speechless. Gotta get that dig in. and we took it. The science fellow, Frank Sherrata at that time, said, well, this is really very fair. We've been well-paid, and I think we've given their money's worth. That board eventually gave way to other boards, and the faculty increased. I think about Orange County and how it's grown. When my wife and I were in high school in Long Beach, she's born in Pasadena, I was born in Hollywood, and we met at Long Beach City College. Orange County was a place we came down for the beach, you know, a picnic or something. We were dating. And there were 250,000 people in Orange County when I was in high school. And I don't know what there are now. It's a couple of million, 3 million or something. Whoa, unbelievable. That's tomorrow, today. I've seen it change. It doesn't bother me. Some people are totally frightened by the change that goes on in America. It's normal. America is about change. It really is and always has been. Oh. I don't know if I could give a message to the administrators and teachers and students here. It's just make the best of it. Do your very best and enjoy it while you're here, because it's a unique experience that won't be repeated in your lifetime. No, I'm really pleased to drive on campus and see what's here. It's just fabulous. When you see, it's like having a child, and then they grow up, and you remember what it was when they were a child. But
It's beautiful.
it's great when Yeah, it's not all perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, life isn't perfect, but it's wonderful.